before we go to Maury, let's take a look at a short video clip that gives us a little bit of an insight into Maury's life.
I spent countless nights staring out that window, alone, in the dark, where at least the physical pain wasn't present. I felt the frenzy of unwantedness. I tried to understand why this hunter hunted me.
Where is that boy?
But I was too terrified, too fearful of my life to ask anyone.
Where's that black bastard? I'm gonna kill him.
That's just a little taste of the life of Maury Blair as a child. He's written this book called Child of Woe, and it's gone all around the world, as I was saying earlier in the program. And Maury is not a stranger to many of you, but he's been absent for many years on this program. About time he came back. Welcome, Maury.
Thank you, Jim.
Have you checked to see if the chair is strong?
Just gonna make, yeah, I'm okay, yeah.
You remember when I had you on my eye-to-eye show a few years ago?
I remember.
We were talking, and suddenly we heard this sound. I heard this sound, and you're still sitting there. What I didn't realize is the chair had broken. And you, pro that you are, stayed in a kind of a squatting position until we went to the bumper package, and you were able to stand up, and the chair just totally just crashed to the floor.
Well, I knew if I moved, it was going to go, and I thought, we're on television. I'll ruin this whole program. I got to hold steady.
Well, you know, if you had gone back, you know,
it would have really caught a sight, eh?
Yeah, it would have been a blooper forever.
Yeah, no, if we could replay that, we could probably do it again.
Well, it's great to have you here, Maury, and it's such a moving and disturbing story that you have, and yet it's ultimately out of the hopelessness of your childhood has come great hope, and you're now a grandfather as well, a father, of course, and a grandfather, and you've got this worldwide ministry. But let's go back to the beginning. How is it that you, as a little boy, were upstairs looking out through that window, waiting for some sound of the hunter, the old man, the stepfather coming looking for you to beat you up again? How did that all come about?
Well, it came about by the fact that my mother had been in her first marriage, had 3 children, married to his brother. Her husband died, and he wanted to marry my mother. My mother was afraid of his violence and his alcoholism, so she turned him down. He was very angry. She left the children with grandparents, went over to the United States, lived with a couple of sisters, met my dad in the United States, got pregnant, decided not to tell him, came back to Canada, and brought me with her. When she arrived, the stepfather, her brother-in-law, wanted to meet with her again. The deal was he'd give her one more chance, he would marry her and raise those 3 children, but I had to go. There wasn't that service where you put them on the tray and stick them in. No. I'm sure I would have been on there, but anyway, at any rate, Mom decided to give me away, marries him. Even though she had concerns, she marries him, and then after she marries him, she breaks the deal and brings me into the home. So now, she's broke the deal, I'm in his home, he doesn't want me, he's already warned her, so I mean, she made a wrong decision in that sense. So she brings me in, and then of course, he's paying her back by abusing me. So that went on for about 13 and a half years. I couldn't fathom it, Jim, I couldn't understand it, all I knew was happening.
Now, describe a typical night in the life of the young Maury Blair.
Well, depending on, he would go to work till 5 o'clock, go to the bar, drink till 6:30, then he'd come home. Depending on his mood. If I was upstairs, he'd either roar into the house, I knew I'm in trouble. If he sneaks up the stairs, I'm in trouble. If he comes up mumbling, he may just curse me, but may not beat me up. So I had to learn to read those tones, but Mom would know sometimes earlier that he was in a violent mood, so she'd get me out of the house. And I would have to go run to my grandma's house. I say, 1-room apartment, just 1 room, and stay at grandma's till it was safety. I'd be brought home, I'd be tucked under my brother's body so he wouldn't know he was even home. It was terrifying. It was.
You would hide under your brother?
They bury me on the bed, and then you put a cover over me, and then they'd go all the way around me and my brothers, so he wouldn't know I was there. So if he came in looking for me, he couldn't see me buried under those bodies. I'm there, terrified, but he doesn't know. And then so he goes back to bed and sleeps in. Then I get up real early in the morning and I get out of that house as fast as I can go. So a day for me was a daily wondering, am I going to live through the day? Am I going to make it? Is it going to kill me today? I really thought that I wasn't going to live very long. I used to stand on bridges, and part of my problem, Jim, was the shame and the blame that every child abuse victim takes. You take the blame and you take the shame. You're ashamed of what you are because you're brainwashed into believing that's what you are. And then you take the blame for all the problems in the home. Like I hear him cursing my mother. You brought that piece of garbage into my home, et cetera, et cetera. So he's hurting my mother. So it's Maury's fault that Mom's hurting. So I'd find myself standing on that little bridge on Paris, Ontario, looking down the water thinking, I didn't want to die, but I didn't think I had any alternative, but I'm glad I didn't jump. I didn't. And then I thought of the big train bridge going over Paris here. If I get up on that train bridge, I can face the train. If I can't face the train, I'll jump. I got to die because then if I die, he'll treat Mom better. Of course, that wouldn't have been the truth at all because he had all this built-up anger that we've been hearing about on the program this morning. He had all that built-up anger in him, so that wouldn't have solved anything. I just wouldn't have been the focal point anymore. So it was
Now, your mom at one point had been an evangelist.
Yes, Mom was a young Pentecostal evangelist. God was blessing her. She came home, an honorable thing to do, to come home and help her mother who was sick. But when she came home, it lasted longer than she thought it would and wound up, and she had two sisters that could have done it in the community, but Grandma wanted Mom, so Mom came home. And as a result of that, that's when all the, the temptations, the hassles, the quit. What's Satan do? Tempt you to quit every day of your life. Why? Get you to quit. You're done. You're toast. And Mom fell into that scope, and as a result, got into all these different situations.
Did she ever try to physically intervene to protect you from this man?
She couldn't. He was too violent. She did. Now, she couldn't show me an interest in him. If she'd have stepped in between us, he'd have probably killed me on the spot. So Mom had to step back. She couldn't show me any attention or any love because that would just anger him terribly. So she really had to step back.
Did you sustain injuries from time to time?
Just bruises all over my body, mostly bruises. Hurt legs, limping to school. And funny, they never asked me any questions at school. What happened to you? And we had a swimming day once a month. And I didn't want to go.
Because you're covered in bruises.
Well, so I jumped into the pool. Just a free time. I jump in the pool and stay in the water right up to here. When the whistle blew, I got up, ran to that washroom, changed as quick as I could. I thought, if I ever say anything and he finds out, he's going to kill me. So I can't tell him. I can't say anything. So it was constantly hiding, covering up, loneliness, desperation. There's no way to describe the hopeless despair. It's hopeless despair.
Now, you were a kid. You did kid things. I mean, you had
Sure.
interaction with neighbors' kids, and you did some silly
My brothers
things.
and I, there's 6 of us.
You're a bit of a character. I mean, you must have had some resilience way down deep in your soul.
Yeah, it's hard for me to put a finger on it at that time. I'm sure it was God sustaining me because I'm sure I would have given up otherwise. I look back now and think, I should have been dead on a number of occasions. We get into all kinds of trouble. The police department came to our house right off the bat to see what was going on. And I remember one night we were throwing firecrackers into people's houses of all things. And the police caught 3 of us. And he drives to the top of the hill and he looks down the hill. He says, you live there, don't you? I said, yeah. The other boy, you're there? He said, okay, I'm going to sit here and watch you go. And I found out years later, because he had such conflict with my stepfather, he knew if he sent me home or took me home in the car,
that you would have been in big trouble.
I'd have been in big trouble. So he gave me a break. He gave me a break, yep. I'll never forget that. Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Now, when was it that you tracked down
my real parents?
Your real
my real
father,
dad. Yeah.
Your real dad.
I did a little investigating, and I thought it sure would be nice to at least see him. At least we would say, hey, do you know about me or anything? So I did a little research, and I had an archivist help me, and sure enough, I found the whole family. In fact, yesterday, Jim, one of my sisters from Mill Creek, Indiana, called my house to wish my wife, Bev, happy birthday.
Oh, your wife had a big birthday yesterday.
Big birthday yesterday. I'm married to a 65-year-old lady. She looks about 35. She's gorgeous, and I'm married to her.
Well, there you go.
And we've had and she's an awesome wife, mom, and grandma. Oh, they love her. Yeah. They love her. And so you look back at all these circumstances, and so she encouraged me. Honey, you should investigate your family. And I said, well, I don't know. She said, yeah, come on, do it. So finally, wrote a letter and sent it down. And I sent it to the oldest sister. And the oldest sister got the letter, and I found out years later, they told me, oh, you never should have sent it to her. She wouldn't say anything and tell anybody. But sure enough, I discovered that my dad had died of a heart attack, picking mushrooms, and but there was all the family. So I sent the letter. They wanted us to come down. We had a big, I call it a reunion, I guess. And I met all my family. I got a Baptist preaching brother, Richard. He's a Baptist preacher. I was trying to get him in touch with them all, let them know about the Lord. And here they're all Christians. And
What's it like walking into your immediate family? I mean, it's got to be surreal. And are you seeing people who look like you?
well, yeah. Like they had a big meeting at a hotel. We stayed at the hotel overnight, and the next day they had this big room rented. So I'm upstairs, pacing bed. Said, "What's wrong? I said, "Well, I gotta be." They're all huggy and kissy. They've warned me already. I must have had 100 emails. I'm thinking I'm not used to that. You know? So she said, "Oh, come on." She was enjoying. Deb was enjoying this. I got to admit. So I go down, and and in they come. And now I had seen one of them before because I'd been at the door of my dad's house for the first time I ever saw him. Only saw him once, and she was standing down the hall. And she remembers seeing this guy at the door, didn't know who I was, and I couldn't say anything for fear because I thought that was his wife. I couldn't see who it was. Anyway, she walked in immediately, knew that was me. Came, hugged me. They welcomed me into the family.